Okay, so this is a really strong chapter, and I'm honestly surprised that Oda has decided to continue this fight the way that he has. It's almost been like a 3-chapter uninterrupted streak at this point. But let's get into it. So like I said, this is just a continuation picking up from 1001. And we see Kaido using his Demolition Gust attack. Pretty sure this is like the same thing we saw him do against the Scabbard a couple chapters back, although I don't think we got a name on it at that point. But all of the Supernovas are able to avoid this, aside from Kid, who's like one of his punk rotten arms gets taken off. But it's super cool how Zoro handles this because he just like deflects it and is not even worried about it. Then we see Luffy follow up with a new attack called the Kong Rifle, and this is just leveling Kaido. Pretty sure this is just like a really strong straight right. We can just assume at this point that all of Luffy's new moves that are going to be revealed, because there's also going to be another one at the end of this chapter, are just incorporating that new Ryou or just advanced armament Haki. But then Kid comes in, capitalizing on Kaido, like getting his head knocked back, and does like a suplex type thing called the Slammed Gibson. Then Law springs in action, capitalizing on top of that, and does the Gamma Knife to Kaido. I really love the Gamma Knife. It's one of my favorite attacks in the series. It's pretty aesthetic, and I just like the way that Law executes it. Before Law makes the strike, he says, "I've never seen an anatomical chart of a dragon, but I guess the heart is right about here." And that's where like he strikes him with the Gamma Knife. So I'm not really sure how much this exactly affected Kaido, because he seems to kind of just brush it off in the next panel when he's like, "Enough of these tricks, so you learned how tough my defense is. It seems you're just not mindless fools relying on your own guts to win." So maybe it affected him, or maybe it'll have some kind of delayed reaction. But then after that, Killer is even getting his little moment with Kaido, where he's doing one of his named attacks called the Scyther Sonic. Not really sure if this like truly affected Kaido, but I guess it didn't do nothing. But then Big Mom comes in and helps her boy out by like using Indra, which is like a huge lightning strike on Killer, and he gets completely fried by this. Luffy then pops back into action and hits Kaido with a Rhino Schneider. And as this is happening, Zoro's like coming up with the alley-oop, and he's like, "Traffy, shoot me up there." And this is going back to like the little recurring joke that we have between the Supernovas here, when Law's like, "First them, now you. I'm not your personal servant," because, you know, a couple chapters back when Luffy was like, "Hey, send the Scabbards down below," he had to tell Luffy after the fact, "I was going to do that on my own accord. I didn't do it because you told me to." So it's like now Zoro is giving him orders, even though they're all just kind of working together here. But Law is like super prideful, and he doesn't want it to seem like he's being given orders here, especially when he's getting like picked on by Kid. But he sends up Zoro anyway, and at this point Kaido is about to blast Luffy, you know, coming off of that Rhino Schneider, with a blast breath. But then Zoro comes and defends Luffy by cutting the blast breath in half, because we've established that Zoro was able to pick up Kinemon's, you know, flame rend, you know, cutting the flame technique. This is just an amazing sequence. This is just like everything, I guess, that we've ever wanted, right? Luffy and Zoro, I mean, the other Supernovas working together is awesome too, but just Luffy and Zoro working in tandem against a huge big bad like Kaido and being somewhat successful here. It's just But then Big Mom's like, "Look out, Kaido, that's no ordinary sword." And as we know, he obviously has Enma, but they're not really fully aware that it is Enma at this point. They're just like, "Hey, that sword seems ultra powerful." And then midair, while still having cut the blast breath in half, Zoro's still going after Kaido, and he does the flying dragon blaze to him. And this thing is so powerful that he straight up cuts the massive horn off of the skull on Onigashima. Unfortunately, this misses Kaido, but this is, you know, by far one of Zoro's best feats in the series so far. And then Kaido acknowledges the significance of the sword as well when he's like, you know, "How does this katana bear the presence of Odin within it?" But going back to the Flying Dragon Blaze, the attack that he just did to Kaido, I'm pretty sure this is the same thing that Zoro did to Ryuma, you know, way back in Thriller Bark, like the finishing move that he did to him. And also the way that Ryuma is depicted of taking down the dragon that he did back in the day. I'm pretty sure this is just Oda being typical Oda, you know, like the dragon taking down stuff, all connecting. But then after this, Big Mom does her God of Lightning Tenjin thing, which is just like, I don't know, the same thing as Indra, but just like multiple lightning bolts. And Zoro, Luffy, and Law are all struck by this, but Kid's like able to block it. But then of course, Luffy is just like, you know, unaffected by this, and Big Mom's like, "Why didn't that lightning work on you?" He's like, "Because I'm rubber." And yes, another just moment in this chapter. And of course, the legendary moment when Eneru realized that his powers had no effect on Luffy, getting a similar reaction from Big Mom here. Then Kaido comes back after Luffy and then shoots a point blank blast breath at him. But Luffy somehow like muscles through this and he's just okay. And Kaido's like, my flame doesn't work either, why not? Then Luffy's just like, guts. So this sequence here is awesome. Of course, Luffy just shows how tough he has become. He could just brute force muscle through a darn blast breath here, but also it's reminiscent of like the Wano intro that we got in the anime, where this event is seemingly foretold. Then the chapter ends with another new move from Luffy called the Kong Gatling, which is, as it's described, it's just like a Gear 4 Gummy no Gatling pretty much. You know, also probably with the Ryou embedded into it. And yeah, he's just lighting Kaido up with this, and yeah, that's where the chapter ends. So wow, like I said, really, really strong chapter. But let me know what you think about this chapter. What do you think is going to happen with the rest of this fight? If you liked the video, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.